Hey everyone, good evening and welcome along to today's topic, which is all about starting and restarting your weight loss or fitness journey. A special hello to all my new Snapchat friends that have added me recently. You're very welcome. Every now and again, I do various topics that are primarily around fitness, weight loss, and around those kind of topics. They're usually a fairly long set of Snapchats, so sit down, relax, and I hope you enjoy. So one of the main things when people restart or are thinking about restarting their weight loss journey is almost a sense of guilt that you failed again and why didn't it work? It's that sense of, Jesus, am I ever going to succeed? Am I ever going to actually get the weight off me or improve my fitness and keep it off? Maybe having tried every slimming club and pill and potion and God knows what else and still feeling that you're getting nowhere. Or maybe it's that you do make progress and then you fall off the wagon, or self-sabotage or binge, and you end up feeling guilty and frustrated and just, why can't I just be thin? And actually, just to mention, if binge eating is something that impacts you, check out my YouTube. Last week I did a full series all on binge eating. Okay, so let's get into my kind of tips and advice for if you're starting or restarting. First and foremost, you have to be able to draw a line under the past. The past is the past and you can't hang on to it. Constantly thinking about previous attempts whereby maybe you didn't succeed or whatever is going to do nothing, only reinforce a negative mindset for you. And it kind of ties in with that saying from, I think it's Henry Ford, that whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. It took me a bit of a while to get my head around that. But essentially what that means is that if you constantly think you can do something, then you can. Whereas if you constantly tell yourself that you can't or you won't, then you won't. So again, it ties in with like that whole piece around mindset, which is really important and we'll touch on in a little bit again. So if you're planning on, say, starting or restarting tomorrow, forget the past. You have to draw a line under it. Tomorrow is a new day, a fresh start. But equally, don't be starting tomorrow unprepared. You need to put in some work in advance of you starting or restarting. So, something to think about. What is your goal? And as I always say, ideally, that shouldn't be a figure on a scales. Hopping on the scales every day, twice a day, whatever, is obsessive and again will reinforce a negative mindset for you. So I'd suggest get a pen and paper when you're going through the bits that I'm going to go through now. You can rewatch this and make some notes, okay, that'll apply to you. But the first thing definitely to think about is, what is your goal? And think about maybe a particular activity or an item of clothing or, something that you'd like to be able to do that you can't currently do, or a feeling that you'd like to be able to have day to day. For me, I think the thing that I am working towards wanting to achieve again is a feeling of how I felt when I was at one of my healthiest points. But that's not determined by a particular weight, okay? It's how are you going to feel. So maybe write down, how is it you would like to feel day to day? And also, one of the other things you need to think about is, why exactly is it you want to achieve that, okay? And what I mean by that is, are you doing something because you want to fit in with your friends or because you feel other people expect you to? Trying to think. Essentially what I'm trying to get at here is, are you trying to achieve something for you or for somebody else that you think you should do it for? Because again, unfortunately, if you're trying to do it to please somebody else or because you think you have to do it for somebody else, that isn't a positive starting point. One thing I would say here though is that sometimes parents might say, I want to do it because I want to be around with my kids when they're growing up. And absolutely, I get that. And I think that is a positive thing because you're focusing then on kind of your involvement with other people, which is cool. But again, I'd say dig a bit deeper there and think about, well, what is it you want to be doing in years to come with your kids? Is it you want to be able to play with them or run around with them, or, what is it? And focus on that outcome as opposed to, I need to be 13 stone to get that. Because it's a much more healthier thing to focus on. Or if fitness is your thing, maybe say, I'd love to be able to run 1k or jog 1k or do a marathon. Again, it's an outcome that's not dictated by a weighing scales, okay? and something that you could surprise yourself by regardless of your weight. Next thing to think about is, well, okay, if I'm starting out, who's my support network? Who are my go-to people to celebrate my successes or to help me if I'm struggling? These are people that need to be bought into what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve from day one. They know exactly what it is you're trying to do and why you're doing it. And most importantly, they want to see you succeed as well. Because unfortunately, when you try making healthier changes in your life, it is very, very common for sometimes friends, maybe even family, to become jealous and almost a bit negative towards you. And I always put that down to almost a sense of jealousy that you're doing something to improve yourself. So think about it. Who's really positive in your life? Who do you really trust and who do you know has got your back? They're the people you want in your support network. And you know, that could be people online as well. That's perfectly fine. I know from some of the online kind of groups and stuff that I've done for people before that there's such a huge sense of support and community in some groups like that. Okay, so let's just recap where we are at the moment. First of all, the past is the past. Secondly, what is your goal and why do you want to achieve that? And as we just spoke about, who is your support network? And the final thing before you get started and kick in is that idea of, well, is your goal actually realistic? Because it has to be, okay? There's no point in saying, oh, I'm going to drop 3 dress sizes in 2 weeks, or I'm going to lose a stone in the next 2 weeks. You have to be realistic. If you're not setting a realistic goal for yourself, again, instantly you're setting yourself up with a negative start, and we don't want that. And weight-wise, remember, even an average of £1 a week is 3.5 stone this time next year. Okay, so we're getting ready to go. We've thought about that. Now, in terms of exercise, what are the things that you need to be thinking about? Well, here we go. Before you even get bogged down with focusing about sets and reps and machines and equipment, stop, because the only thing I want you to focus on at the start is creating a habit of activity. So when you're starting out, just focus on, okay, how often am I going to be doing my activity and what is it? When is it that you're going to be doing that activity and where is it you're going to do that activity? And this all needs to be written down and planned. Also, for what duration is it that you're going to be doing, say, each exercise or each workout, whatever it is that you're going to be doing. So by putting these kind of on paper, you're plan done, you know exactly what's expected each week as opposed to starting blind every week. And again, be realistic, okay? Be realistic, folks, because it is one of the biggest reasons for people failing or not sticking with things. So, for example, it could be, my plan is that 3 times a week on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday, I'm going to do 30 minutes of treadmill. Or walk outside, or do a home exercise DVD, or whatever the case might be. But stick to your plan. Don't overdo it, don't underdo it. The plan needs to be in place for a minimum of 4 weeks. Ideally, I'd say 6 weeks, so that it becomes a regular habit, okay? So that for the first 6 weeks, you're focusing on getting into the routine of doing that habit as opposed to getting bogged down with the technicalities of it. You know, it's stuff I've done myself, like worrying about, well, what moves am I going to do? What body part? Yada, yada, yada. And getting so kind of blinded by all the crap. Keep it simple, keep it realistic. And I say it has to be something you can do and adhere to and that you're likely to want to do. Like, there's no point in saying, oh, I'm going to go and do Zumba 3 times a week at 6:30 in the morning, if you know there's a likelihood you're going to hit snooze on the alarm. You're much better off saying, do you know what, I'm going to keep it simple and just start with walking. And walking is a fantastic way to create that habit. Like, my habit when I kind of restarted everything, just, you know, start the new year, was I just wanted to get into the gym 3 times a week. And then once there, do a piece of cardio for 45 minutes. Nice and simple. Get to the gym, 45 minutes of cardio. There was none of this crap about worrying about beasting myself or going as hard as I can, because that wasn't my focus. My focus was the habit of going there and doing it. After that 6 week period, then start focusing on, okay, actually, let's develop my exercise routine now a bit more. You also need to set your check-in periods, okay? So is the case, I'm going to test my fitness or weigh in, say, once a fortnight. And as difficult and all as it is, particularly if you're a scale hopper, Once a fortnight is kind of a good time frame. Not every day, or not morning when you wake up and then nighttime again, because there's too many fluctuations in your body day to day. So maybe 2 week period. And then in terms of your fitness, two of the other things is actually in general, accept that some days are going to be bad days. And that's okay. None of us are perfect. Nobody is. And nobody has an awesome day every day. And you're going to have crap days some days. There are going to be days where work or family or something else takes priority for that day. But what's important is that you acknowledge that and you say, okay, what's my schedule for tomorrow? Okay, yeah, I'm doing my 30 minutes and that's it. Forget about it. Today's today, it's gone. Okay, at the end of the day, it's gone. Tomorrow, you're back on. None of this again waiting until next Monday or the end of the weekend or whatever. No, okay? You have your plan. You've written it all out. It's ready. It's there for you. A bad day does not mean you're suddenly throw everything out the window. It means it was a bad day. Okay? Draw a line under it. And again, in terms of fitness, and this kind of ties back into people starting in the gym, don't compare yourself to other people. You're focusing on your goals, your achievements, okay? Not anyone else's. The only person you can compare yourself to is you. And it kind of goes back to that idea as I just touched on, like in the gym, don't be intimidated by other people because everybody is there for their own reason, working on their own goal. And if they were perfect, they would not be there. As simple as that. Okay, nobody's perfect. Well, me and you are perfect. But you know what I mean? Don't be obsessing about other people or trying to compete with them or compare to them. Just worry about yourself. That's all you can do. Okay? Worry about yourself. You're investing your time in you, just as everyone else is doing their own little thing. So to recap on our exercise ones, okay? Focus on the habit of what you're going to do. How often and what? When are you going to do it? Where are you going to do it? And how long are you going to do it for? How often are your check-ins going to be? Accept that some days will be bad days. And don't compare yourself to other people. This is your journey, not theirs. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. Okay, so you've done all that in terms of your exercise. Now with your nutrition, keep it really simple. Watch my video about calories for weight loss that's on my YouTube. If you don't want to be counting calories, and that's perfectly okay as well, there's no expectation. Just think your food should have grown or lived at some point. So nutritionally, the majority of your food, say about 80% or so of your food, should come from natural sources, either animal or plant. Or another good way to think about it is, if you're looking at the ingredients in your food and there's more than one or two, more than likely that needs to be reduced a lot. Because foods that normally have a high amount of ingredients have been highly processed and they're the ones to really reduce, okay? Or another good way to think about it is, if the kind of use by date on your food is quite long, equally that means it's usually highly processed. But food wise, you need to invest time in planning it each week, okay? Again, when is your time you're going to do this? Plan it out. And no matter what, that needs to become your time every week. That if you're at home, that's when you plan your food, or at least when you prep your food or do your food shop or whatever the case might be. So the way that you focused on a habit with your exercise, you focus on the habit of planning your meals as well. And again, if you're struggling, with your kind of meal prep and timing and that, a slow cooker 100% is the way to go. And then the final kind of thing for now is, we've touched on exercise, we've just touched on nutrition, and I say you can watch my video on YouTube as well. But another huge part of your journey is looking after yourself mentally and checking in with yourself to see how are you. And I know that might sound a bit daft, but going back to my binge eating video, one of the biggest things that was of most use to me was literally a few minutes first thing in the morning and a few minutes last thing at night, just to check in with myself mentally. At the start of the day, with those say negative or maybe doubtfulness thoughts you're having, whatever you want to call them, play them out before you get out of bed. But equally then, they're parked, they're done, you've thought about them, you're into the day now with a positive mindset. And then again, at the end of every day, maybe when you're in bed, the last few minutes, just take a few minutes to reflect over the successes and the positive things from that day. And I don't care how small that is. It could be as simple as, I chose to only have one biscuit instead of 3 today with my tea. No matter how small a success it may be, reflect on it and, say fair play to yourself. what you want to be doing each day is to really reinforce those positive habits that you're creating day on day, because it's fantastic. So plan time to focus on your food every week, and plan time for a few minutes every day to check in with yourself mentally. And as usual, I've all that on a whiteboard. I'm going to put it up in the next snap if you want to take a screenshot of it to read back over, okay? And look it, don't beat yourself up. You're only human. But never, ever give up on yourself. Okay, ever. Your weight, your shape, your size does not determine how good a person you are or how fantastic you are. And no matter what weight you are, no matter what shape or size, whatever you are fantastic and just as good as anybody else out there. And as I always say, look at, if you've watched this far, fair play and thank you. And also thank you so much to everybody who's got their friends to add me. A few people messaged me, so big thanks for that. And remember, you are awesome. No matter what, you're awesome.